Hello there, everybody. Today we're going to take a look at surviving the aftermath. I just wanted to give you guys kind of a primer of what this game is, what to expect, etc. Of course, wanted to keep the music going a little bit so you guys get an idea of it. It's very, very nice, but due to copyright reasons, we're going to have to get rid of that. Oh, alright, first thing, applying settings. So the first thing you have to know about this game that I think is quite important is the fact that this is not just a colony builder game. There's another aspect to this game that is very, very important, and that is the actual character aspect. Basically, we have a world map here, and we have characters, like Mishka here, the leader. And the only way we're going to unlock any sort of scientific points to unlock new things for our colony is by using him on the world map and unlocking these science points. We can also use him to scavenge some of these areas and try and take goods, eventually bring them back to our little settlement here. But as you can see, the world map grows as you continue to grow yourself as a colony, and you can unlock some very interesting things. Right here at the actual colony itself, there's a number of ways to actually start getting resources. And when you start out, things don't look this good. And I know you're probably thinking, wait, Agrippa, this doesn't look good at all. This looks like a garbage heap. And as far as End of the World is concerned, this is pretty decent. Now, you can go around here and you'll actually see some leftover goods just kind of laying around. We've got plastic kind of hanging out here. We've got metal here. And this is essentially how you will get resources initially to build your lumber yards, your mining facilities, things like this. Then you can, of course, do that on your own without having to scavenge. So as you can see, intense and oppressive heat has taken over the colony. Now, this could affect our water, and this will occasionally happen in the game. So, for instance, you'll have a catastrophe happen, even something as serious as a meteor shower. These are all possibilities. Now, of course, you get to prepare for that heat wave, as we are right there, and eventually we will be able to deal with it and hopefully survive it and continue thriving with our colony. But depending on how you want your difficulty set up, you can really go ahead and, take a look yourself, pretty much set up your own difficulty level, make things extremely difficult, or, semi-easy, and kind of go from there. I've kept things at pretty easy. I think I took medium for pollution, and that's why you see all this nuclear waste. And as you unlock science points over here with the tech tree, you can eventually find ways to improve food, production, colony, and eventually even get rid of the nuclear waste entirely, and really make a safe colony out here in the world. Now, sometimes people will come to your gate and ask certain things. Right now, we've got an additional character, guys. And remember what I told you about the characters being the ones that can unlock science, unlock resources outside of the map, and even find groups of survivors. They're also bringing medicine, they're bringing clothing, food, and tools. And all of these things are essential to your colony in this game. So I'm, of course, going to accept her, although she does seem a little creepy, kind of like a voodoo, a witch of sorts. Nonetheless, I'm going to try not to judge, and clearly this means we need more homes. There's a really easy building system, and right now we just have emergency shelters and tents, but as we unlock science points in the game, we're actually going to be able to get even better stuff instead of just the emergency shelters and tents. We'll be able to really, have some fun in terms of what we find. Now, what is this? We've got the Rippers, but look at the resources, 557 science. Now, I believe we can use both of these characters to attack, but I've never actually tried this, so we're going to do an attack here once the time is right. One thing I like also about the game is just the cozy feeling. I mean, I know we're in a nuclear wasteland, but you could see our people going out, gathering resources. Also, the actual wildlife will interact with your people quite a lot. Not only will they get irradiated occasionally walking by nuclear waste, but sometimes these boars and other creatures will actually attack them. And that's why we've got this medical tent that is fully staffed by an actual member here. Now, the heat wave has begun. Pretty oppressive heat wave, and I love the visual aspect of it here on Surviving the Aftermath. Now, one thing I want to mention that I think is amazing in this game, and something that a lot of these survival games don't do enough of, is this, and that is each person here has their own personality type, has their own portrait, etc. I think it's great. Not to mention, you can have children, and those children can grow up into adults to help the colony. So just so many really cool things here, in my opinion. I think it's absolutely fascinating, and I would definitely recommend it so far. I'm having a lot of fun. But for now, our specialist should be ready to attack. Let's see what happens here. Alright, we should get a minor victory with Nala. Okay, we got it, guys. That's going to be some science points. And hopefully we can use those to unlock a few things. Although I think we actually have to make it back to base with those science points for it to count. So let's make sure to get good old Mishka back to base. This guy's been with us since the beginning, so I really trust him. Alright, guys, let's get through this oppressive heat wave, and I'll actually come back once we have gotten our characters back. But let me know what you think in the comments down below. As you can see here, if you want to in the game, you can always fast forward. And we're actually having a water shortage right now, so you know, I'm going to try and get yet another water well out here. Even though we kind of had too many before, right now that might be exactly what we need. So let's get that water well building, and we'll return once our characters are ready to move. Alright guys, this is of course the research tree where we decide essentially how to improve our colony, etc. And I'm thinking that the most important thing right now are going to be actual frontier outposts. That this way we can establish outposts on the world map and expanding our colony's influence. It's going to be 100 science points, so it's quite expensive, and it's going to take a few hours to unlock. And after that, I'm going to go for survival skills. So we're going to increase our survival skills essentially for, you know, hunting game, hunting wild game, things like this. And I think that's going to be very, very important here as we move forward. Also, as we get even more people joining the colony, I think it's going to be very important for us to keep going with our medical knowledge. So we're going to get a medical 10. Now, another sad and unfortunate part of this game, well, maybe good part if you like survival games, is that people do die. And that's why we've got this burial pit right here. You do need somebody to staff the burial pit, but you can remove somebody from their job at any point if you need more colonists to carry. You've got 3 different kinds of colonist carriers, workers, and just standard children. Now, if a school exists in a colony, they'll be able to go to it and become better adults, more useful adults, more productive adults, but unfortunately, we've got a pretty uneducated bunch of folks going on right now. So what I'm going to do with Mishka, I'm going to keep scouting. I want to see the rest of the world, and it looks like we found yet another camp of the Wasteland Nomads. But these guys look pretty nasty, and they just have medicine. We already have quite a lot of medicine, so I'm not too worried about that. I think I might just send Nala south. In fact, I'm going to have her scavenge over here, grab some mealworms. They're not that useful, but food is food. Let's put it that way, folks. Not to mention, I think the mealworms might actually be useful for our fishing huts. Look at how quaint and natural this little fishing hut looks like. I mean, it's just sitting here. It's got this little pond. We've got some on even smaller ponds over here, but I'm sure there are a great deal of different fish swimming around here. But this is really our baby. This massive fishing hut goes all the way out here. All right, we actually depleted our plastic resource. We're going to have to do something about that. So let's take our recycler here and grab another bit of plastic. There will always be, well, I won't say always, but for the starting point of the game, there will be different accumulations of waste, basically, that humans have left behind. And these accumulations of waste are pretty useful for your colony. But eventually you are going to, you know, deplete them, and you're going to have to find a new way to get those different things. So, for instance, you know, instead of just finding food on the map, we had to get a trapper, and he'll pretty much stick around forever. For the most part, he'll be able to, you know, get us a small amount of food, etc. The same is true for the woodcutter. He's going to be able to cut down wood as long as the forester keeps planting trees, and we'll always have a wood resource. But some resources you're going to have to eventually trade for when you run out, like plastic. We are going to eventually run out of plastic on this map, and at that point, we'll just have to figure out a different approach, I guess you could say, than we've been taking. Taylor also needs some goods. And let's take a look at the Wandering Merchant. So like I said, people will occasionally stop by the gate. Now, in this case, we've got a Wandering Merchant, but you can have gangs stop by the gate. You can have people stop by the gate, of course, and ask to join your colony. That's always my favorite. But he's suggesting Can I interest you, fine gents, in a bit of bartering on the loveliest of days? So we gain metal for giving him concrete. We already have 122 metal, so I don't really need his deal, but I appreciate his business nonetheless. And there goes the Wandering Merchant. What we really need are additional citizens to join us. Now, as you can see, we fixed the water situation there, thankfully. But I want to jump back to the world map, see if our folks can move yet. And I don't know if we should attack here with Mishka. I think we're just going to keep inspecting, because what I really want are science points. Can she go back and get more? Wait a minute. Okay, I didn't know that. So I guess we can keep scavenging the science points over there until they run out. That is amazing news. Alright, let's take a look at our tech tree here, guys. So bartering is also pretty great. This allows us to trade with other societies, etc. Motorization unlocks garages for repairing and storing cars found on the world map. So eventually you will find things on the world map that you can use for your colony, including cars, weapons, things like that to defend against biker gangs, etc. Biker gangs seem to be a big deal here. It's kind of like a Mad Max situation. There's a lot of these biker gangs all over the place. So what I tried to do there is improve our trappers, since we almost always have a food situation, and since we're expecting even more guests, I definitely want to get those trappers working around the clock. Now that we've finished researching those survival skills, we can focus on big game hunting. But actually right now we're not having many issues regarding food production. We're doing okay. So I'm going to go for another one of these sort of basic production skills, which is just going to be crowbars. But eventually, as you can see here, we can start to increase our roof supports, our heavy tarps, and this will allow us to build even nicer buildings, at least in regards to a wasteland. Of course, we'll probably be able to get some actual scrap metal instead of just basic tents, build some decent, decent structures that should be able to not only house people, but keep them a lot happier. Now, I want to take a look again with her, but with good old Misha, I'm going for those science points again. Oh, beautiful. So we're just snagging science points left and right. Anyway, guys, I hope you've enjoyed this look at Surviving the Aftermath. My final review, absolutely. If you like a survival game, and if you like a city builder, and especially if you like a mix of both, I would absolutely pick up this game. As I mentioned before, it is quite beautiful in its presentation, not to mention that you have separate sort of stories with those characters on the map. It sort of lends to a totally separate game alongside your basic colony here. So I would definitely give it a 4 out of 5 stars. I think things could be improved. The tutorial doesn't really explain much. I kind of had to watch a few YouTube videos to really understand what was going on. But once you get the hang of it, especially once you get your colony started, I think that's kind of the toughest part. You can have a lot of fun on this game. As I mentioned before, I want to reiterate that you can change the difficulty setting. You can make the world pretty much completely uninhabitable, in which there would be like only a few clumps of trees around, like a true Mad Max setting. Once you start the game, you get to make those decisions. But I hope you guys enjoyed, and if you did, make sure to hit that like button, drop a comment down below, and please subscribe if you're new to the channel. It really does mean a lot, and I hope you guys enjoyed this look at Surviving the Aftermath, or this impromptu review of Surviving the Aftermath, and I hope to be able to share more with you of this game in the future. Alright, folks, I'll see you there.